Christmas is a time for celebration, joy and family, but on December 26, 1996, the Ramsey family awoke to a nightmare so chilling that it has haunted the world for nearly 3 decades. Their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét, was missing, and the only clue? A baffling ransom note demanding $118,000. By the end of the day, JonBenét's lifeless body will be discovered in the basement of her own home. What followed was a whirlwind of media frenzy, conspiracy theories, and unanswered questions. Who killed JonBenét Ramsey? And why does her case remain unsolved to this day? At 5:52 a.m, Patsy Ramsey made a frantic call to 911. Her voice trembled as she told the operator that her daughter had been kidnapped and a ransom note has been left behind. "We have a kidnapping, hurry please." When officers arrived, they found Ramsey's lavish Boulder, Colorado home already swarming with friends and family. Despite protocol, the house wasn't sealed off. Key evidence was potentially contaminated. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Hours later, JonBenét Ramsey's father, John Ramsey, found her body in the basement. She was wrapped in a white blanket with the garrote around her neck and duct tape over her mouth. This was no ordinary kidnapping, it was murder. The ransom note found earlier was bizarre. It was written on paper from inside her house, demanding a very specific sum, $118,000, the same amount as John's recent work hours bonus. Experts noted its unusually long length, peculiar phrasing, and a possible attempt to mimic a movie script. Many began to wonder, was this note a cover-up? The investigation soon turned its gaze inward. Some suspected the Ramsey family themselves. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, was scrutinized for her demeanor. The handwriting on the ransom note was inconclusive, but bore similarities to hers. Critics questioned why a kidnapper would write the note in the house and then leave JonBenét behind. Was this staged? There were whispers of a tragic accident. One theory suggested that JonBenét's older brother, Bert, may have accidentally harmed her during a sibling fight. The idea was that the parents, desperate to protect their son, staged the crime scene. But there were no conclusive signs of Bert's involvement, and he has always maintained his innocence. Others speculated about Patsy Ramsey's temper. Could she accidentally have killed her daughter during a moment of frustration? Or was this a deliberate act of violence? The Ramsey family denied all accusations, and in 1999, a grand jury voted to indict John and Patsy Ramsey in charges of child abuse leading to death. However, the district attorney refused to pursue the case, citing a lack of evidence. Yet not all eyes were on the Ramseys. Many believed an intruder was responsible. The house had an open basement window, which some claimed could have allowed someone to slip inside undetected. DNA evidence on JonBenét's clothing pointed to an unknown male. However, this evidence was partial and controversial, leaving room for debate. One of the most infamous suspects was John Mark Carr, a school teacher who confessed to the murder in 2006, but his confession was riddled with inconsistencies, and DNA tests proved he wasn't the killer. Theories about an intruder persisted. Some pointed to a man known as Santa Bill, a neighbor who had dressed as Santa Claus for the Ramseys' holiday parties. Others suggested a local handyman or a drifter targeting the wealthy family. Over the years, the case became a media spectacle. Armchair detectives and online sleuths dissected every piece of information, fueling theories both plausible and bizarre. Some even suggested a shadowy conspiracy involving child exploitation rings, powerful figures, or even corrupt law enforcement. But no theory has ever persisted. In 2008, the Ramsey family was officially cleared of this suspicion after advanced DNA testing suggested the presence of an unidentified male. But to this day, questions still linger. Who wrote the ransom note? How did JonBenét end up in the basement? And why, despite all the evidence, has no one been held accountable for her death? The tragic loss of JonBenét Ramsey remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. It's a case that continues to haunt us, not just because of what happened to her, but because of what it reveals about justice, privilege, and the search for truth. So what do you think? Was this a tragic accident covered up by a family in crisis? Or was JonBenét the victim of a cold-blooded intruder? The answers may never come, but one thing is certain: the story will never be forgotten.